Barkas ran his fingertips over the wet, dark stain on the pillow. The slippery, metallic liquid left a horrific, smeared trail across her milky-white skin. The blood-soaked thin linen of her nightgown clung to her delicate body like dark, wet seaweed caught on a piece of white driftwood. Looking down at this grotesque spectacle, Barkas put his ear directly to her blood-soaked chest. His own breathing stopped. He could feel a faint, highly irregular heartbeat hammering beneath her ribs. Only then did his frozen, clinical thoughts finally begin to return to him in a rush of cold adrenaline. He picked her up, along with the bloodied silk sheets, and ran violently out of the bedroom. Several maids passing along the stone corridor froze in absolute terror at the sight of their commander carrying a bleeding, unconscious duchess. Barkas thundered a command that echoed through the entire citadel. "Bring me the healer. Immediately. If she dies, you all follow her." Everything inside Talia's body was burning, exactly as if she had been forced to swallow a gallon of boiling water. A sharp, corroding heat was currently eating away at her stomach, and the next moment, her very bones seemed to be pierced by thousands of icy, frozen needles. She reached out with her trembling hands and tried to pull a blanket up to her chin to ward off the cold, but she physically could not move. Then, someone grabbed her. A hand that was hot, like red-hot eastern steel, clamped around her own. The relief from the human warmth penetrating her blood did not last for long. The fire flared up inside her gut again with a new intensity. She tossed and turned in the dark, sweating profusely until her nightgown was soaked. It seemed that the presence noticed her silent torment, as the embrace weakened for a second. Talia clung to the warmth with all her might, her mind a frantic mess. Don't leave me alone in the dark. Please, just hold me tight. The words slipped only through the silent corridors of her head. And again, the hot, heavy warmth enveloped her entire body. It was hard and unyielding. But at the same time it became strangely, highly, unnervingly calm. She curled up in that wide, masculine embrace like a fragile chick hiding under a hen's wing. After an agonizing amount of time, the burning pain in her stomach finally subsided, and an almost deathly, hollow calm reigned over her senses. It seemed as if she were being immersed in warm, still water. How long she remained in this strange, narcotic tranquility was not clear. Her consciousness gradually, painfully became clearer. Talia raised her heavy eyelids with difficulty. The sharp southern sunlight shining through the bed's canopy blinded her retinas instantly. She involuntarily let out a low moan from the stabbing sensation of the light, when she suddenly heard hurried, frantic footsteps directly nearby. "Your Highness." "Oh, thank the gods. Have you finally come to your senses?" Talia turned her head with a groan and frowned, noticing her nanny standing over her with a pitiful, tear-streaked face. The older woman grabbed Talia's hand and sniffled loudly, her eyes red from lack of sleep. "Can you even intellectually imagine how worried I have been, my lady? Why does this always happen to you? Why must you suffer so?" Talia blinked in absolute confusion, not intellectually understanding exactly what had happened since she fell asleep in the garden. She pressed her throbbing, feverish forehead with one hand. The nanny, shedding tears as if she were a broken fountain, jumped to her feet. "I have to get the room ready immediately. This is no time to be lost in thought." "Wait a single moment, my lady, I will bring the healer to you immediately." The nanny's slippers hit the stone floor in a frantic rhythm as she ran out of the bedroom. In the sudden, heavy silence, Talia's head finally began to work. She looked around the chamber slowly. A few seconds later, she remembered where she was. They had arrived at the border city of Tarlan. But the subsequent memories, the garden, the bird, the meeting with Barkas, were all vague and distorted, exactly as if she had been dreaming while wide awake. "You have finally come to your senses, Your Grace." While she was still stunned, trying to recover the shattered pieces of her memories, the Imperial healer burst into the room. She walked toward the bed, her breathing heavy and labored as if she had been running. Exactly how do you feel right now, Your Highness? Talia, looking at the woman with a dazed confusion, barely managed to open her dry, cracked lips. A thin, metallic sound escaped from her dry throat. The woman immediately handed her a glass of warm water. Talia raised her upper body with a massive difficulty and, leaning against the wooden headboard, drank the liquid. It settled unpleasantly into her stomach, causing a slight, prickling irritation. When she began to cough, the healer gently took the glass away. Do not drink too much at once, Your Highness. Your stomach lining is severely damaged, so you need to be extremely careful even with water for the next few days. Talia frowned deeply, her eyes narrowing. Exactly how is my stomach damaged? Do you genuinely not remember? The healer said heavily, looking at her with dark, serious eyes. You lost consciousness almost immediately after arriving at the citadel, and then you were dangerously sick for almost 2 full days. Talia's blue eyes opened wide as the memories came flooding back to her like a tidal wave. She remembered the sudden, severe pain in her stomach as she lay on the bed, exactly as if her insides were being torn apart from the inside out. She hadn't even been able to call for help. At that moment, a hot, metallic liquid had welled up in her throat, and the world had gone black. Even now, clutching her painful stomach through the silk, she looked at the healer with a freezing, icy gaze. Was I poisoned? No, Your Highness. It highly looks as if there was absolutely no poison involved, the healer hastily denied, her voice smooth and practiced. Apparently, it is the cumulative side effects of the highly concentrated Eastern medications you have been taking in recent weeks that have caused this sudden internal bleeding. Side effects? From the restoration potion? Talia looked at her with an absolute, unhinged incredulity. The healer calmly explained the clinical reality. The medications the commander provided contained several rare herbs that are incredibly useful for restoring muscular strength and vigor, but they are also highly acidic. They can severely damage the lining of the stomach if taken in high doses over time. These are usually excellent for the energy and health of a strong man, but if taken for a long time by someone with a weakened, fragile stomach like yours, internal bleeding is almost a certainty. Talia grinned a highly bitter, cynical grin. So you're telling me that they simply gave me the wrong dosage by mistake? The healer pursed her lips slightly and let out a soft sigh. I highly guess that is the case, Your Grace. We carefully checked the chemical composition of the remaining potion. It contained only useful, life-restoring substances. It's simply that whoever prepared the mixture in the East did not intellectually know that your stomach is as vulnerable and as thin as that of a small child. Talia looked at the woman with a sharp, toxic suspicion. It's highly strange how quickly and how thoroughly you are defending the person who almost killed me. I am simply reporting the clinical facts so that you do not waste your precious energy on unnecessary, paranoid suspicions, Your Highness, the healer answered calmly. She got up and reached for a small silver teapot. In any case, the person who prepared the medicine will be properly, formally punished by the Duke. From this moment on, I will personally take over the absolute care of your treatment. She poured a clear, steaming liquid into a small porcelain cup. Talia watched the process with a wary, highly defensive gaze. This is a tea with wild honey and a small amount of soothing herbs specifically to restore the stomach lining. If you drink a little, you will immediately feel physically better. Talia reluctantly took the cup from the woman's hand, but she was in no hurry to drink. She looked at the warm steam for a long time, then spoke, her voice a low rasp. Are you absolutely, 100% sure that the medicine I took before, it wasn't poison meant for me? The possibility that some other, more subtle substance was added cannot be completely, 100% excluded, but then the typical symptoms of systemic intoxication would have already appeared in your blood. You had none of those. It was a simple physical rupture. Does that mean Barkas is all right? Talia wanted to ask the question out loud, but she caught herself and closed her mouth tight. She couldn't come up with a plausible, non-shameful explanation for why Barkas would also be taking her medications. Talia pursed her dry, painful lips. Barkas had also swallowed those elixirs every night, albeit a little bit at a time, to feed them to her. Did the acid genuinely not harm his own body? Unable to shake off the cold anxiety in her chest, she asked in a trembling voice. If a healthy, strong person takes that medicine, nothing will happen to him, right? The healer gave a single, firm nod. Yes, Your Highness. For a healthy person, it only helps to restore their natural strength. There is no danger to them. Talia dropped her fragile shoulders in a massive burst of relief. But she immediately felt a sharp, self-loathing irritation with herself. She grinned an empty, hollow grin. She was currently more relieved that her life was not in danger simply because it meant Barkas had not suffered from the poison. She was a fool. She quietly moved her lips, the question finally escaping. Where exactly is? Where is Barkas? Where is he now? How exactly did he react when he saw me covered in my own blood? After swallowing these frantic questions, Talia put down her half-empty cup and lay back down on the bed, staring up at the canopy.